All right, make sure you guys each have some markers. So while we're getting started, by the way, guys, my name's Carissa. Hi. I'm from Freedom Marines Ranch in Middle Tennessee. And while we're getting started, I would love for each of you to take a sheet of paper and use the whole page and simply write all the positive things in your life. So fill up that page as much as it takes. If you need more markers, we've literally got all the colors. This is like everyone's dream to have a marker set that's like that. If you didn't know, you're in trauma training.
I had it with you the other day.
Yeah, you already did it.
Okay, and I knew they had another one over there, and then you said over here. So, thanks.
You're like, I've already done this. Yeah, this is a much abbreviated version. So.
But I enjoyed it.
Aw, I'm so glad you were able to hang out the other day. Okay, we're going to have to even out this table. Would you like to join somebody? Because you can't be your own table. All right, so guys, use that whole front page, write all the things. She's got the right idea there. So as you guys are writing, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about who I am and basically what I do. So, by the way, again, my name's Carissa with Freedom Marines Ranch in Middle Tennessee. And we have been a ranch ministry since 2015. Our primary focus is using horses to mentor kids and young adults who've been through trauma. A little bit about me, I have a miniature Australian Shepherd, love her to death. Her name's Ember. If you're a Pirelli person, she is a hardcore right brain extrovert. And then my horse, Boston, does not like having his picture taken, so that was actually in the midst of trying to get a really cute picture, and he's like, absolutely not. But we used to do eventing, and so that picture is up there, and that's the horse God used to save my life. Long story short, I'd been through a lot of trauma growing up, lots of different types of abuse and neglect as a kid. My driving force was anger at God. I wanted nothing to do with him, thought that he had caused all of it, and therefore, why would I want to have a relationship with anyone who would allow such horrible things to happen? What I realized was that was the enemy trying to turn me on Jesus. And thankfully, God intervened through using a horse and basically teaching my horse, who also became bitter, mad, and angry at the world, that I was for him and I was not going to force him to do anything. The Lord opened up my heart, realizing he was doing the same thing for me. So I gave my life to Jesus on October 31st, on Halloween. Ironic, after it was kind of funny. It was like ultimate kick in the enemy's teeth. I love it. And since then, just began to pray, God, what do you want me to do with horses? And through a series of events, a bunch of kids started coming to hang out with my horse, who was not a kid's horse at the time, but he slowly became that. And as a half Arabian, half thoroughbred, if you guys know anything about the breeds, you put them together, they exponentially multiply in the level of crazy. But he actually became a bomb-proof kid's horse when he was around kids. He knew he had to take care of them. They could trot around bareback on a loose rein, and he would never put a foot wrong. And then I would ride him, and of course he'd be playful and excited and throw out a buck or two and snake his neck after a jump. So just seeing these kids' lives literally transform because of interacting with a horse, knowing that God did that with me, I'm watching him now do it with a bunch of other kids. And so our ministry, where it is today, and I say this not on anything that I've done, not on anything a person has done, but we have 13 amazing session horses. This is a self-imposed challenge every year to get a picture of all the horses together without holding them, without Photoshop. We've done it every year. But I say that because it's just the story of God's faithfulness. We have 13 amazing session horses, 50 kids coming every month, a few times a month, and just literally watching him impact these kids through horses. And so with Freedom Marines, something that we focus on is kids and young adults that have been through trauma. So what do you guys define trauma as? Like, define it for me. A wound. Awesome. That's a very accurate answer. What else? If you were to define trauma in a short phrase. Yeah, major impacting event. So trauma actually defined is a deeply distressing or disturbing experience. That is the actual definition that you would, if you were to look it up in the dictionary. And so we're going to do a quick activity to help you guys understand that a little better. So this involves a little interaction. So that piece of paper you've been writing on, if you haven't filled it up yet, go ahead and add a few more things. And then I want you guys to go ahead and turn to where you can see somebody directly in front of you. So pair off with somebody. We've got a group of 3 over here, and I can actually hold your paper if you want me to, Miss Jana. Sure. So I want you guys to trade papers with each other. Okay? And you might have to stand up, okay? You don't have to necessarily, but you're going to require getting a good little bit of a distance away. I want you guys to make sure you've traded papers. So if you're holding it up, you're looking at the paper that you wrote. Go ahead and stand up and hold the paper up so you can see what you wrote. Far enough that you don't have to be too far away, but you got to be a little distance away. Awesome. Okay, everyone see your paper? Okay, I want you to put your thumb out. Okay, I'm going to do this even though I'm not looking at a paper right now. Okay, close one eye. All right, everyone feel weird yet? Good, okay, we're doing our job. All right. I want you to take your thumb and bring it toward your open eye while looking at your paper. Stop halfway. Okay, stop halfway. Can you still see those good things? Some of them? Okay, put it all the way back out. Like you're giving a thumbs up. Can you see all the good things? Okay, now bring it all the way to that open eye. Can you see the good things? That's what trauma does. As it gets closer, as it impacts you more, if it's right in your face, you lose the ability to see the good things in your life because it screams really loud. Anyone who's ever been through something traumatic can probably identify with that. And so our job in these ministries and at Freedom Reigns Ranch, we are a mentorship ranch. We strongly advocate for Christian counseling and to work through the things that we've been through. But having mentors that are spurring you along are so important. Your job as a mentor is to help move that thumb. Yes?
Do you do this exercise with your participants?
We typically have not done this with participants.
So I was going to ask, what if they don't have anything good to
Sometimes the only good thing on that paper is the name of a horse at your ranch.
If it was like for this or
Yeah, so
exercise.
great question. So today what I'm giving you guys is tools that you can take back to your ranch to help your session leaders and your volunteers and your staff understand what it's like for someone going through trauma. Does that make sense? Okay, so this is a really great activity because for those that just haven't had that experience of going through something that's completely life-altering, it can be hard to understand why someone maybe responds or acts to something the way they do. And so when you do something like this, it's like, oh yeah, that does become all you see. You know, that thing that's right up in your face. And when it's further away, you can gain that perspective back and we're able to look outward and outside of that immediate circumstance. But if it just happened or if it happened a long time ago and we're still living in this traumatic state in our brain, which we'll talk about in a minute, that's all you can't see any of that, okay? So our job as session leaders is to help move that thumb back or help move it aside, even if it's just for a few minutes with a horse. Because the cool thing is horses have the ability by God, okay, we'll be very clear, God heals through horses, horses do not heal, to help these kids be fully present in the moment and just for a minute be able to move that thumb or that trauma aside just enough for them to regain a little bit of perspective. So going through this afternoon, we're going to just talk a little bit about that. So, understanding trauma. What is trauma? We defined it as a deeply distressing or disturbing experience. And with that, it's important to understand that there's trauma and then there's also complex trauma. Okay, so complex trauma, as defined in working with kids and young adults, please understand that complex trauma encompasses more than this, but for the purposes of today, it involves multiple experiences or events over a course of time that involves interpersonal threats. Oftentimes it's during adolescence and childhood, and that results in patterns in life that show up later in life. It can also happen to adults too, okay? So that's not just for kids in adolescence, that is also for adults as well. But in the context of what we're talking about today at youth ranches, that's how we're defining it. So I want to help you guys identify complex trauma. And again, these are tools you guys can take home and easily implement. So I need 4 volunteers. I know you guys are eating lunch. All right, come on over here, pick up, actually don't pick a puzzle because I'll give you one. So I've got one. Come on up, Miss Abby. What's your name? Tessa. Tessa, you can have this one right here. And I need one more volunteer. Awesome. Okay, so Abby, we'll have you right here. All right. Logan, we'll hang on. Jana, you're going to be right here. If you would, please put this blindfold on. Okay. And then, let's see. Abby, I didn't give you one, right? No, wait, I did. I'm sorry. Logan, I didn't give you one. Here's yours. All right. Okay. So, does everyone have their puzzle? Your goal is to complete your puzzle. Go. By the way, we'll do that.
And I'm the only one with the blindfold?
And you have to put a blindfold on. Go for it.
Be that one. Might need some help.
Need help tying it?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so we're going to complete that puzzle and try to get it done as fast as we can.
Give me the definition of trauma again. I got complex.
Trauma is a deeply disturbing event or experience. Deeply disturbing and distressing event or experience.
I've heard it defined also as anytime that there was a connection or bond that has been broken.
Absolutely.
That it's not, resolved.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about that in just a minute.
Sorry.
No, you're okay. That's very accurate, and it's a big part of that. All right, so as these puzzles are going, how are these going? All right. How's this one going?
Yep. Don't do it.
On your own. Where'd the rest of it go? You can still put the pieces together. Stick them in there.
She's doing a pretty good job. Nice, sorting them out.
Yeah.
You realize you have 2 puzzles there? Mm-hmm. I promise, though, all the pieces are there. You just have to find which ones are separate. How's it going over here?
Slow and
Do you not like the puzzle I gave you?
Oh no, this is a beautiful puzzle.
Yeah, it's a little more complicated. And ironically, it says life is good on it. All right, how's this puzzle going?
Oh, you're not touching this puzzle.
But I really want to see it. Can I see it? No. Okay, fine. I'll just take pieces then instead. Never mind. All right. I'm going to take a few more of yours. There we go.
Darn it.
Hey, welcome. You're totally good. We're right in the middle of an activity. You joined at a great time. In fact, would you like to help one of these 2 ladies with their puzzle? So we've already defined she has 2 different puzzles, and we're trying to figure out separating the one pieces from the one that's actually there. Can I have that? Are you sure? Can I please have it? I want to steal it.
so hard.
Okay. Let's see. Let's just leave you with that one. That sounds like a good plan. All right, you guys can go ahead and stop. She got it done, nick of time. Okay. For those of you that were doing the puzzles, what was that like?
Triggering.
Was it triggering? Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you for being willing to engage in that.
Was it the blindfold?
Maybe. I know.
The futility?
Loss of control.
Yeah, absolutely.
Too many memories.
Yeah.
But I knew that this was an activity. I knew it wasn't real.
Right.
So I was okay.
Right.
I recognized where it was triggering to my
Yeah,
past.
absolutely, right? When we don't have that control and we haven't had that at some point, it all comes flooding back pretty darn quick, and it's hard. I'm sorry, but thank you for engaging. I appreciate that. What did you feel when you got handed the 750-piece Life is Good puzzle?
Well, I mean, I felt my survival kick in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, I'm not going to do it the way you want me to do it. I'm going to do it my own way.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it
And
took my time.
is it possible to get that done in the amount of time I gave you?
Not at all.
Absolutely
And I
not.
knew that.
Yeah. A little bit of helplessness? Or were you just like, I'm going to fight it and grit it out?
A little rebellion.
Sure. Okay. Cool. All right. Tell me about this puzzle. Well, focus, determination, but also, did anyone notice how easy her puzzle was? Yeah. And the fact that I gave it to her put together, and then all I did was that, so it was still put together, right? Oh yeah, it was still put together when we flipped it over. Oh, got it. Yeah. What about over here? How you doing?
I'm not done.
She's like, I'm getting this thing done. All right. So, what did your puzzle have?
Animals.
Animals. Yeah. You had 2 of them though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
I saw the first one, I was like, ooh.
What was it like for you guys watching?
Felt helpless.
Yeah, helpless. What else? Good job, by the way.
I'm actually trying to figure out what the point was, and so I'm
Yeah.
on the other end.
You're going like, why are they doing this?
No, what? No, it wasn't a negative thing.
Yeah.
It's like, what is she going to talk about? Ooh,
Yeah.
I'm interested. You know, it sucked me in.
Absolutely. How does this relate to trauma? What's this kid? What are they experiencing? A lot. Overwhelming right off the bat, right? Maybe not necessarily for you, because you had a lot of fight in there, which that's an adaptation skill. Okay?
At least she didn't get angry, which a trauma
Yeah.
person would.
Absolutely. Did you guys notice though, the feedback I was giving her was nothing negative? This is the kid that has people around them to support them, but has so much going on. And they just keep going because they have to. Right? What about you? What's your kid in this circumstance? What have they experienced? No idea?
Mixed messages.
Mixed messages, sure.
Confusion.
Confusion, yep. Having to sort a lot out. Kind of maybe wondering if the whole picture is actually there, if it'll ever fully be finished.
Having too much information.
Too much.
puzzle.
Yeah, 2 puzzles.
I can't process.
Yep.
Or like when people have traumatic experiences, sometimes they, you can make up in your head something that happened.
Totally.
As a trauma response.
Yep.
And so when you're like trying to deal with it, you don't know if you're dealing with whatever your brain told you.
Yeah.
Or the actual thing that fits. What
Absolutely.
is going on.
Yeah. What about our precious blindfolded one over here who is left with 1 piece because those ones got taken away and then her framework got entirely sabotaged?
I think that one didn't have any support.
Yeah, no support at all, right? You kind of just got left out there.
I think for me, it's kind of a very direct reflection of my marriage. Is you know, you go in with all the pieces, and then slowly throughout the relationship, pieces were taken away.
Yeah.
But you're still expected to create the whole piece.
Yeah.
And there are many times where like you're going into situations blind. But
Absolutely.
You're still expected to do something
Yeah.
and figure it out. And
Yeah.
I'm sitting there trying to feel the edges of the pieces and figure out how they fit. And it's like it was also I couldn't really see what was going on around me.
Mm-hmm.
And I am hearing people and I'm hearing conversations, but I'm not a part of it. I'm in my own little world.
Very isolating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tried to encourage.
I did hear, like I could hear her voice.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is there was one person throughout my entire marriage who had that constant voice. And if it wasn't for that person, I probably would have never made it out
Yeah.
of the marriage.
Yeah.
So like
She
that's
put a piece together too.
She did.
You
Yeah.
tell her, she put it together. She had like 3 of them.
Yep.
And when
Absolutely.
you kept trying to take, like, I wasn't sure for the sake of the class whether I was supposed to defend what I had and protect it, or whether I was supposed to let you take it.
Sure.
And that's of course like the same thing in my, relationship.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to defend what's mine?
Absolutely.
Or do I let my husband lead and
Yeah.
take?
Absolutely. That second guessing, like I know what I know in my gut what I'm supposed to be doing or what I'm supposed to defend or not.
Or expect.
And just going, okay, I'm just going to shut that down. That doesn't exist right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very real thing. Any other thoughts about puzzles and how this relates?
What about the easy one?
The easy one, good question. So,
Or the less difficult one.
the less difficult one, yeah, it would have been easy had I not probably come in and kept disrupting it and trying to take it away and deciding to throw things in there. This represents, or what do you guys think it represents? I'll ask y'all. What does this one represent? What is this kid dealing with, or what have they faced? Or what does their environment look like while they're going through something hard? Might be the better question. What?
Barriers?
Yeah, dealing with some barriers, right?
Like you know what you need to do to like fix it or make it better, but someone keeps
Yeah, things keep getting disrupting. Mm-hmm.
Kind of makes me think attachment
Yeah,
issues, styles.
could be dealing with attachment stuff.
I was thinking healthy. Like,
Yeah.
You have life thrown at you,
Mm-hmm.
but if it's, I wasn't watching, so this is just what from everybody's saying, but it seems like that person had what they needed to
Mm-hmm.
get together.
They had-
the support system.
Absolutely. Yeah, had all the pieces, got to see the picture. Then when I turned it over, even though that was a disruption, it still wasn't necessarily the most major disruption. And they still had the framework to be able to put it all back together again.
And the familiarity of the picture.
Yeah, having already seen it and knowing what to expect.
United States, so if you know where the states
Yeah.
go,
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. So it's important to understand that trauma is a very big, sometimes overused term in our society. But what each person experiences in trauma is entirely dependent on them and their circumstance around them and the resources available to them. And so this kid may have gone through something the same as this kid did, but how they're responding to it is entirely different because of the environment and the resources and the people around them. And also within this context of understanding our relationship with Jesus, how he really does provide the framework to work through to healing, whereas someone else may not have that. And it's important to understand that where each person is, it doesn't necessarily say anything, it doesn't say anything bad about them, it's just what was thrown at them and what's available to them, and then how they can take steps forward to heal based on their system that's around them and how much that affects that. So this is an activity that we like to do with a lot of our volunteers who maybe see a kid that comes to the ranch and they are displaying, sorry, this is a video on this, so it can be a little confusing sometime. But they come to your ranch and they are displaying these. These are basically ideas of what trauma looks like in kids. It's intense emotion, anger, sadness, depression, anxiety, keeping to themselves or being isolated, sudden behavioral changes or difficulty concentrating. They have a hard time telling people how they feel or explaining any emotion, or they just don't feel emotion at all. They can have problems relating to others or making friends. A lack of trust or empathy for others is a significant one. Forgetting how to do simple tasks, like cleaning their room, while some kids just don't like to clean their room. This is I literally can't clean my room. It's too overwhelming. Yeah. Poor attention or failing in school, nightmares, bedwetting, difficulty sleeping, lying or engaging in risky behavior, and particularly with teenagers, risky sexual behavior. and having actual physical body aches and pains. If you guys have not read The Body Keeps the Score, highly recommend it. It goes into great detail about that. And it's important to understand that trauma can look like this, but it can also look like this. It's a kid that's a perfectionist, can't do something wrong. It has to be right. It has to be a certain way. Unusually compliant, especially with authority figures. Creating a false self-image, and I'm not talking about I'm not talking about a personality disorder here. I'm actually talking about literally creating intentionally a different persona that can deal with things in a different way. Or an over-responsibility or the unusually mature kid. Okay, but when we look at this, how would we define that first kid? Like, what do they look like when they come to your ranch? What are they doing? So this first one, the one that has behaviors that maybe by culturally we might perceive as negative. What do they look like when they come?
Just everywhere, just ping pong ball.
Yeah, ping pong ball, everywhere, all the time. Not listening, yep. Maybe put themselves in a safety risk once or twice, yeah.
Or seeking attention.
Yeah, seeking attention.
Lots of questions.
All the questions. Yep,
Distract everything.
yes.
Or even like shutting themselves down and refusing to connect with someone.
Yeah,
Kind of shelter them.
they just can't go get the horse. It's too exhausting. What about the next kid? What do they look like? The overachiever. How's that going to show up at your ranch?
They want to be like teacher's pet.
Yeah,
They want to do everything and excel at everything.
yeah. And it's more than just I want to be by you because you're cool. It's I've got to earn your approval and I'm going to do everything it takes to get it because my survival's dependent on that because that's what they truly believe.
Some anxiety.
Yeah, anxiety, absolutely. The kid that may not want to touch the horse and get dirty, okay, or has to go wash. What was that?
The rule giver.
The rule, yeah, the one that makes sure all the kids do all the other things.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. Yeah. So that's what trauma can look like in kids. And this isn't an exhaustive list. This is a list that is something you just simply might see in interacting with kids. And we can unintentionally put these kids in these two boxes and not realize that there's stuff going on underlying that's causing all of this to surface up and for us to see. And so I want to talk just a little bit about the science behind everything because I think it's really important. It's important that you understand, first of all, that trauma typically shows up as a reaction. Okay, so all of those behaviors are typically a reaction. Whoops, sorry, it went ahead by one slide. Are typically a reaction to what they've experienced. And so we're going to go over a very, very brief overview of this, understanding brain chemistry. So because I'm a visual person, we're going to talk about four things: the prefrontal cortex, your limbic system, which actually encompasses the hippocampus and the amygdala. Okay, those are four big words. So your prefrontal cortex is right here, right? Okay, if you don't know, it's in the front. This is a very generalized description, by the way, okay? Your limbic system is back here toward the base of your brain, and contained in the limbic system, you have the amygdala and the hippocampus, okay? The prefrontal cortex is your place where you're talking about reason, thought, you can process things, you are able to rationalize, like you're able to understand and have logic and ration, okay? When trauma happens, this kind of just goes offline. It's like it just doesn't exist. It shuts down, the connection's down. It would be like if the power went off in the building, okay? It's gone. Do horses have a prefrontal cortex?
Horses?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
they do, right? But it is highly underdeveloped compared to the rest of their brain because where do horses live? They live in their limbic system, right? You can also hear this referred to as the reptilian brain. Okay, this is innate in us. This is where feelings live, okay? Back in the limbic system. And so in the limbic system, you have two main things, and there's a whole bunch more, but I want to keep this nice and simple so you can actually relay it to other people. So again, in trauma, prefrontal cortex, offline. It says bye-bye, I'm not thinking rationally, I'm not processing in that way. So then your limbic system is going, okay, we've got to live. So what happens is the amygdala is the alarm. Sets off the alarm, goes, something's wrong, we're in danger, we're gonna die. Like that's literally how it operates. It's 0 to 100 in less than a second. And what it does is it decides that it's going to send oxygen to your blood, get blood pumping in your muscles. It causes your adrenaline to spike. It says everything. We need to be in alarm. We need to be in alert. We need to survive. Okay? It's a really good thing unless it stays stuck. Okay? So the hippocampus and the amygdala love to talk to each other. The hippocampus is the one that's actually responsible for processing emotion. Okay? When trauma happens, the hippocampus also goes, yeah, I can't deal with this, and it's all fear-based. And so the amygdala is telling the hippocampus, alert, there's something wrong. Hippocampus goes, I can't deal with this, too fearful, and everything shuts down in the prefrontal cortex. And what can happen in trauma is these neural pathways that were once very familiar and everything working and flowing back and forth, kind of like a river. Have you guys ever kayaked down a river where it's nice and smooth and there's, the water's the perfect level so you're not getting stuck on the ground? And, whoa, time-wise, oh my goodness, okay, I've got like 6 minutes. So you're not getting stuck on the ground and there's no trees or logs or rocks in the river and it's just relaxing, right? Okay, when the brain's not in trauma and survival mode, that's how it works. Everything's flowing as it should. When trauma happens, it's like all of a sudden there was a tornado that blew through and all the logs fell into the river. And now all of a sudden, where we were able to get through really well before, everything's there and we can't get through without something happening that's either gonna tip our kayak, okay? A therapist's job or a counselor's job is to take those logs out one by one and help us understand how they got there. As a mentor, our job is to go, wow, this is a lot of work and it's going to be really hard, but we can do this because of God and because of how He created us to be in relation with other people. And because He heals, we know that He's going to remove those logs, but it might take some work, or He might just take them away right away. But most of the time, it takes work because as we remove those logs, we grow in our understanding and knowledge of who He created us to be and how He created us to actually function in the world and have an impact in the world. And so our job as mentors is to help kids go, okay, this is overwhelming, right? But you know what? We're going to get through it, and it may take a really long time, and it may take a lot of work, but there is a way through, and by God's grace and with His help, we're going to figure out the way through. Does that make sense? So again, it's really important to understand that when these kids come to the ranch and they're displaying all those good or bad symptoms, whether they look overly mature and engaged, or whether they are, ping-ponging left and right, that there's actually a reason that's happening, and it's not something that they're making a conscious choice to do. And so our job is to, number one, be a really great cheerleader for them. Point them to Jesus and say, you can get through this and I'm going to be with you no matter what. That relationship in and of itself is so healing. And it often starts at our ranch with horses because, guys, when humans have been the one to wound, most of the time kids are going to trust a horse before they're ever going to trust a person. And what's really great is the natural progression of that is going from relating with a horse to relating with you as a trustworthy adult to then actually understanding God's love for them because of that. Okay? One last thing, because I know we have got to go. Hey, yeah. One last thing, because I know we have to kind of get everything wrapped up, is I want you guys to also understand why kids who have been through trauma get horses and vice versa. So you heard me mention that the limbic system is the one that really kicks in and the prefrontal cortex is going offline. And then we also talked about the fact briefly that horses, their prefrontal cortex is almost non-existent. The brain's kind of like a muscle. As you use it or don't use it, it grows and changes in various ways. Horses identify and see the world because they have to understand the intentions of everyone and everything in it. They have to know what's the intention of that person over there or that rock. Is that actually a rock or is it a creature that's crouching or what just moved in the bushes? So their ability to survive depends on their ability to read their environment. And when someone's been through trauma and they're stuck in this limbic system of their brain that is just not allowing everything to fire properly, or all those logs are in the river, they're not able to clearly understand things as well. And so their ability to survive, or their sense of safety is a better way to say it, depends on the ability to read their environment and understand that people can be trustworthy again. And so one of the best ways to do that is to bridge the understanding of horses and how they read their environment for a kid who's feeling the same way. Does that make sense? Awesome. Okay. So I know we are up on time. I want to go through one last thing, and that is simply the importance of helping kids ground. So have you guys heard that expression before, grounding? Okay, so grounding is literally being present in your body. Okay, for some kids that have been through something really traumatic, this can actually be a very challenging thing for them. But the great thing is we have a 1,200-pound animal as our ministry partner that we can actually do this with. And so 3 simple things for grounding. And again, today was designed to be able to give you guys tools to kind of take back and use, right? So we've got the thumb to your face with trauma. We've got the puzzle analogy that you can do with your volunteers. It's a really fun one to do. But then having a practical tool, grounding. So we like to call it the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise. Has anyone heard this before? Awesome. For those of you that haven't, it's just, I think the door opened by itself. That's really windy. So it's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise, and it's engaging all of your senses. So it's the idea that we want to label 5 things we can see. So if someone is having a hard time really staying fully present because they've been through something hard, labeling 5 things they can see. So like, I can see the speaker, I can see the blue feed bucket, I can see the saw, I can see the ground, I can see your hat. It's teal. That's my favorite color. You know, and so labeling 5 things they can see, 4 things they can touch. Horses are great for this, because how many things can you touch on a horse? Their hooves, the soft muzzle on their nose, their hair, okay? 3 things you can feel, 3 things you can smell. You're at the barn. There are a lot of smells, okay? You're welcome. 2 things you can hear. What can you hear? And then 1 thing you can taste. Please don't taste your horse, although I have had a kid do that actually, like literally lick. He's like, what does the horse taste like? I don't know, go find out. You know, but you can use that. And so, no, you're totally good. And so you guys, that's something that you can practically use. The other thing that I like to allow people to use is the deep belly breath with a horse. So if you guys actually do this around your horse and do the horse usually mimics that back to you, and it's really cool. So I know we're wrapped up on time. Hopefully that was helpful for you guys. But thank you guys so much for engaging, okay?